Off to the angle now for Joe Sheridan. Sheridan has some room. Tried to hit back into the middle, and that one comes free back to midfield. Richmond able to chase it down as Gavin Creo comes up with it. Shot clock down to 10. And Creo will fire and score in the top shelf. Gavin Creo's goal is fourth of the season, and Richmond takes a 1-0 advantage.
And he showed us even just last weekend that he is ready to step up to the next level. But for him to hit a shot from about 12 yards on the wing, a little bit of a surprise. We think of him more as a kind of an invert midi close to the crease. But his game has continued to grow.
Another look at it. Had a little shooting space that time. Cavaliers couldn't close out quickly enough. And Gavin Creo drives it home.
6 very capable attackmen that I think, like I say, are going to run regular shifts in the midfield. We're going to see them in different combinations. They sort of feel, if McCabe Millen is starting on the attack, then his brother, who's the #1 recruit in the country coming out this past year, he needs to get on the field, and so they're going to bring him out in the midfield.
Oh, nice pass in front and a good finish from Truett Sutherland, who had 8 points last week, and Sunderland drives that one home to even the game at 1.
I'm sure the Richmond coaches are a little bit upset. If there was one thing coming out of that game last weekend watching Virginia play, it would be to keep a stick on Sunderland inside. You can't slide off of him and give him that space. He's just too dangerous.
Than last week, where the alleys are a little bit different and the space is different on that field inside.
Everything, the field is narrower because they're playing the football sidelines, and then you tend to gravitate to the middle of the field more, push off from the walls, so the field plays narrower yet.
Spiders turn that one over. Yeah, Virginia trying to capitalize on that offensively. 8:42 to play here in the first.
Everybody talks about, how systematic.
Long distance shot that time, and Ryan Colsey buries it from out front and puts Virginia ahead 2-1 now over the Spiders.
I was just about to say that everybody talks about how systematic Richmond is at both ends of the field. I think Virginia would like the game to be a little bit more chaotic, and it has started out that way, kind of in the middle of the field in particular, and they've been able to take advantage of it.
So defensively, we talked about, and that's Richmond's, expertise area. They're very good at it defensively, but a couple of times here now we've seen the Cavaliers get some shooting space and be a little bit more open than Richmond might like at this point to get those 2 goals.
Again, a good face-off win there by Gaylord. I just think you want to challenge Virginia's middies to make plays. I don't think you want to slough in a great deal off of Sunderland and off of Colsey too. Colsey also is an excellent shooter.
And at the other end, an answer from Aiden O'Neal, as he'll get his 2nd goal of the year. He's usually setting others up, but this time it's O'Neal in front to bury the shot to even the game at 2.
And we talked about that as one of the keys to the game, is Virginia being able to cover up on the inside on defense. We've seen a little bit of that at both ends here now, and so I think the game is playing at Virginia's pace right now, but it'll settle down here a little bit.
O'Neal left alone there for a second as Meredith slid over.
No question about it, but we're seeing a more experienced, more skilled Richmond team. If the game does play a little bit chaotic, if it plays up and down the field, I think Richmond's equipped to compete in that environment.
Interesting. Now we're seeing O'Neal in a different spot than normal. A lot of times he's behind the cage. In front, nice move. And Daniel Peakart drives that one home for his 2nd goal of the year. It puts Richmond out in front 3-2.
An opportunity to watch Richmond in an early season scrimmage against North Carolina, and I thought Peakart was a real factor in that one, and he's going to be a load as the season goes on.
We'll go to timeout. Spiders up 3-2, 6:56 to play in quarter number 1. We're off to a great start here at Robins Stadium on a beautiful afternoon, and more coming up here in a moment on ESPN+. came in, didn't enter the transfer portal. He's I believe also non-scholarship as well, but he's just kind of fallen in Virginia's lap.
He was, an Air Force grad. He's in the nursing school at UVA, and someone brought it to Lars's attention that the Air Force goalie was in the nursing school, and so Lars went out, reached out to him, and talked him into coming out to play, and I think they're very happy that he did. From the A-Sun where he was to essentially playing in the ACC.
Well, that's a nice shot on the wing from Ryan Dunkel as he went a little high-low there and got it past Knight, and he evens the game at 3 here in the first. It's the first goal for Dunkel this season.
When it comes to moving the ball and sticking a shot from inside 10 yards, that's going to be Virginia's forte. Again, my charge to my team might have been more in the line of, limit our slide.
3, we have 5 minutes left in the first. Good pickup defensively that time by Richmond, as that was Connor Kelly coming over to help out.
Dunkel on the invert, which is a position where he's going to be comfortable.
Good movement by the Cavaliers here, and another long distance shot that time that's buried. And Virginia gets a tally from Colsey again, his second of the game, and it's 4-3 Cavaliers now.
Yeah, in the box with a chance to move the ball and having guys that are open. Again, that's going to be Virginia's strength.
So Ryan Colsey with 2 goals. He had 4 last time out. The Cavaliers attack to try to beat this ride of the Cavaliers. Joe Sheridan carrying that one upfield. 19 seconds in the quarter.
You see Virginia running those 3 middies off the field hard, trying to get their defensive personnel in the game. Like, you're going to play offense with 5 attackmen. And
a nice move in front. Ricciardi finishes it on the great pass from the creator, Aiden O'Neal, and he evens the game at 4 with Jack Ricciardi's second goal of the year.
Both teams doing a nice job moving away from the ball, finding guys open, handling those balls on the inside, putting the ball in the back of the net. It's off the ball stuff, I think, at both ends.
You can see Ricciardi was circling, and once again a defender leaves. As you see Aiden Murnane died, and he is followed by Michael Meredith, the Jacksonville transfer, another A-Sun product.
Virginia's just appears to me to be working through a lot of personnel kind of at both ends of the field. A little hard to get a handle on defensively because there's so many guys, different combinations of players that they're using on offense, rotating people on the attack and in the midfield, and a little bit the same on defense.
And now Ricciardi looking for some room to operate here. Finds room to shoot and scores inside that far post. Jack Ricciardi's second goal of the game. He'll put Richmond ahead 5-4, 13:53 to go in the second. And I was just about to mention that this particular move Richmond is successful at. Maybe more difficult today, but Ricciardi got a little bit of extra space after he finished that off.
Yeah, I was...
Sales one just off target with the shot clock at 30.
We're actually seeing Ricciardi be a little bit more of an initiator than we have seen early in the season. A little different approach here.
Now it's Creo back out front to O'Neal. O'Neal again at the top here.
Covered by a short.
Shot clock at 8. O'Neal's going to twist and fire, and he gets it over the top for American end. A goal for Aiden O'Neal, his second of the day. Spiders lead 6-4 now, 9:37 in the second.
You could see early on that was going to be a problematic matchup for UVA. They needed to try to get to that one a little bit quicker. And if there's a Mickey, it means we have a matchup that we really like. Find it. And that matchup was going to be Aiden O'Neal with a short stick covered him. And Richmond did a nice job of clearing some space and giving Aiden room to be able to finish that play.
2-goal lead for the Spiders. Virginia on attack now with Colsey. He has 2 goals today. Try to get one there. Connor Knight the stop. Loose in front. Follow no good. Knight spears it out of the air after Dunkel nearly put one in, and now Richmond breaks out. Pennyfeather Stevenson firing, passing last minute in front, open look, and a Richmond goal there from who else? Aiden O'Neal again.
Nice play going from defense to offense. Starts with a big save by Connor Knight in there. He's off to a good start here.
So good job by Knight. And now it's a 7-4 Richmond advantage on O'Neal's 4th of the season.
And that's the issue for Virginia going into this season, is going to be when that ball turns over. If you've got attackmen playing in the midfield, when that ball turns over like that, and a team can get the middle of the field on a loose ball play especially. And so Richmond may be able to take advantage of that going forward.
The Spiders work offensively. They've got Hayden and Huber out there. Huber fires. Nice stop by Merrick that time. Huber had 3 goals last time.
Yeah, nice to see those freshmen stepping up like that. You want to see him hit a shot, certainly, but those guys just being a factor is a positive.
And that'll find the top corner on a long-distance missile from McCabe Millen. He'll get his 5th goal of the season. He had 4 last game, and that's going to make it a 7-5 contest on the McCabe Millen tally. And we will take a timeout. Action hot and heavy here, 7:29 till halftime. 7-5 now, Richmond on top of Virginia here at Robins Stadium. And we'll continue with more lacrosse in just a moment.
Comes winning those loose balls, not turning the ball over in bad spots. So we've seen a lot of back and forth play, and that seems to be the way we're headed here today.
Vince Gaylord is out for Richmond at the face-off X, and now we get a violation here. It was Henry Metz who popped in that time for Virginia. He's seen some action with Griff Meyer in the first game. So both these teams are still trying to sort out their situation at the face-off. Here goes McCabe Millen. Another fire and another goal from way outside. Millen putting the Cavaliers back within 1 now. It's 7-5. Now 7-6 Richmond.
Virginia wants to run all these different attackmen in different combinations. McCabe Millen is the one who plays the most like a midi. In the end of the day, he may wind up spending more of his time in the middle of the field or out in front of the cage.
Guys are here now with 6:53 to the half. Shots are 17-16 Virginia and 13-12. The Wahoos have the 1-shot advantage on goal.
There's Hackett with that speed. Hackett, Sean Brown.
McCabe Millen got away from one. Wide open. Nice fake. And then another shot. And 3 straight goals from McCabe Millen have tied this game for Virginia at 7 apiece. And he put a move on that time with a fake and then went to the top shelf and got over top of Connor Knight.
And again, he seems very comfortable up on that high wing.
So we're all even. They were last time out. As O'Neal works. 18 shots with 13 on cage for the Spiders. There's one that bounces back.
Yeah, both teams right now are creating good opportunities and getting good looks at the goal.
O'Neal's marked up by Meredith. Not giving him any room to work with 9 on the shot clock, and somehow he got that in.
Great shot.
Wow.
If he rolled back the other way, they had Hopper was doubling down on the wing there. He would have been able to move the ball up top too if he had wanted to.
I mean, it seemed as though the Meredith had him closed off pretty well with the shot clock winding down. Let's take another look at it.
I'm not sure you're sliding to that. You know, outside the hash marks, going down to on the offside, going down to his left hand there. Defensively as a system, you might just have to live with that. Part of the mission is going to be for Richmond to clear the ball, and they do a nice job there.
Down to Aiden O'Neal on the long distance pass. 2:30 left in the half. An 8-7 Richmond advantage. You
spend most of your week, practicing against the 10-man ride, but you never do it as effectively, as Virginia does it, who makes a living at it, and so it's a little hard to simulate that ride at full speed.
How about that shot on the approach from Joe Sheridan? He scored 4 last week. That's his first today. And his 5th goal of the season will put Richmond back in front by 2 at 9-7.
Great shot going down the wing.
And it's just one-on-one right here. Sheridan gets a short stick matchup there and gets the edge on Lyndon Verbal and puts it in.
You talked about the quality shooting. That's a quality shot right there. You're a young lacrosse player going down that wing like that. That high to low shot on the far pipe. That one's.
Packard was running with that first midfield line, but now it's Peakart and Creo and Sheridan. And this is Sheridan, whose shot hits Littlejohn and heads to the back line. Just getting underway in this 3rd quarter. Richmond trying to get a goal to go up 3 now, if they can pick one up here. Now O'Neal behind the cage, and he finds another one. Goodness.
And we've been talking about Aiden. We're talking about his development as a player. And here he is against their long stick, against their best close defender, and comes around left-handed and sticks a shot on a near pipe.
That is Aiden O'Neal's 5th goal of the game. And he's matched up there with Michael Meredith and somehow finds a way to squeeze one past Merrick on that shot attempt. So Aiden O'Neal. And Smith gives it tonight. Spiders will work it ahead. Going to face this ride.
Virginia shows a little 10-man and then backs off on it. Richmond clears the ball.
Now here's Tanner Huber. He had 3 goals against Robert Morris last time out. Peakart spinning and working in close, and he finds the net. 2nd goal for Daniel Peakart today. And now we're up to an 11-7 Spider advantage.
Virginia's been a little inconsistent picking their spots in terms of who they're going to slide to, and they're leaving their short sticks in a rollable position, and they are about to make a change in the goal. Coming out with Kyle Morris in the goal for Merrick.
So Merrick out, Morris in. Morris last year. And now the Spiders back to offense. So Morris takes over for Merrick as Virginia makes that change. In the cage, here comes Sheridan. Looking for somewhere to go. He finds Creo out front. In front, little juggle. Creo after the loose ball and keeps possession. Finds Sheridan on the wing, and he'll fire and score.
Yeah, we early in the 3rd quarter here. We definitely have a little change in momentum here.
It is 12-7 Spiders, 9:46 to go in the 3rd as Richmond has ripped off 3 unanswered goals here to start the 3rd quarter.
And it starts with a great ground ball by Gavin Creo, and that's generally how these things do get going. You make the little plays and finish them off.
And Virginia couldn't close it to Packard, and they'll reset right here. Charlie Packard works on that wing with Peakart, and now Packard will head off, and they'll change out to the first midfield again with Sheridan and Creo and Packard and Peakart, rather, excuse me.
And Packard's role, you know, he's played an important role here in the defensive midfield. He's done a lot for this team today. He may have envisioned himself running on that first offensive midfield.
Creo fires and scores after eluding defense. All alone, hammers it home. 13-7 Richmond, and Creo's second goal of the game, leading the Spiders to a 6-goal advantage with 6:41 left here in the third. We'll take a timeout and get back to Robins Stadium here in just a moment.
Results of games, but it sure feels that way, you know, when you're standing on the sideline. You know, when you're either winning face-offs or not winning face-offs.
And I think from a Richmond perspective, you know, when this program first started, there were games they'd go into the fourth quarter and they'd have a 1-goal game, and the other team would have a more experienced face-off guy, and it seemed like they would win every time, and then they would just start to pull away. So from that perspective, it is a position that over the years it's been very important to the Spiders, obviously. And another goal. Joe Sheridan. And Joe Sheridan has his third of the day. And it is now 14-7, Richmond in front of Virginia.
You know, and the psychology of all this, the mental piece of this, you know, we saw a little bit of this in the last night in the Olympics with Ilya Milanin, you know, the figure skater, you know, for Virginia coming off of a losing season that they're not used to. You know, it's hard to get something like this back under control. You know, to have to display confidence that you don't feel in your boots, so to speak. You know, so.
Now, and also in Virginia's defense, you know, John Schroeder's not playing today. Probably your best defenseman. You know, what does that do to your unit back there when you're trying to corral
I think that's
something?
a big deal for today, what we've seen so far. Because I do think that his playing would make a big difference. They seem a little bit out of sorts on defense. I think that would make a big difference if they had a little bit better coverage of Aiden O'Neal, if they didn't feel like they were vulnerable every time he touched the ball. You know, but again, injuries are part of it, you know, and you just got to be able to adjust and get it done. And I know Coach Tiffany knows that, and they're working really hard to be as good as they can be defensively.
All right, here's Sunderland now, working from behind the cage. And a nice shot from Virginia to answer back on that approach. Ryan Dunkel circling around and firing, got it past Connor Knight. That's a big goal for the Cavaliers. It's Dunkel's second of the game, and it stops that Richmond 5-0 run and makes it 14-8 now in favor of the Spiders.
Yeah, Dunkel, former top recruit and attackman. You know, they don't need him on the attack right now, but they need him on the field. So he runs out with the midfield, inverts behind, and makes a big play right there.
And it does stop that Richmond run. And now a win for Griff Meyer at the faceoff X.
Virginia needs to stitch a couple possessions together, a couple of good ones.
Very important right now. Hopper holding on to it. And now he'll leave after he got it to Colsey. And we'll see what runs out for Virginia on the midfield part of this. If they stick with the first attack or if they move some other guys in and out.
Band and Brown and Dunkel.
First midfield, I should say.
Coming out with the midfield.
Yeah, Brown's out there. This is McCabe Millen. And he found somebody camped out on that near post. It's Chase Band who took the pass and put it in.
Now that's one of those ones where, you know, Brendan Millen going down the side on his left hand. You're going to make sure that you're matched up on your own guy. They shouldn't have somebody open on the backside of the play. It should be a stick on number 12.
And that is Band, who does score right there on the near post. He put that one home. But a good feed from
Peakart in there on that possession.
He's out for now, though.
And 4 follows him off. That's the trade-off.
Here's O'Neal working behind the cage, followed closely by Meredith. O'Neal trying to get free again. He already has 5 goals today. Looking for room, and now goes with the pass. Ricciardi back out front. Shot clock at 23. Plenty of time here. Good move from Peakart. Fires and scores. Daniel Peakart finds room.
An important goal. So while it was still a 5-goal lead, like I said, you felt a little shift in the momentum there. Kind of moved back to Virginia, and you needed to answer. And
so Peakart, the sophomore out of Pleasantville, New York, with his 3rd goal of the day. He stopped that Virginia run and now makes it 15-9. Richmond back up. I know that Virginia went to. Now he's picked up by Terenzi. And everything loose in front. Virginia comes out with it.
Plenty of time.
And that was Meredith carrying it all the way upfield. He'll go back to the defensive side here in a moment, along with Aiden O'Neal on the Spider offensive side. Colsey on the wing, picked up by Farrell. Now Brendan Millen, and he'll find some space and shoot and score. So Millen getting around Jack Pilling with the tally.
And I was just about to say, you might let Brendan Millen run down that left-hand side, and he hits his shot on the run, and that's what good players do.
Well, that's the first goal for the freshman on the season.
Catch that ball and stroke a little bit better shot. Give Morris credit for being in the right spot.
That was just his 3rd shot of the day after a 3-goal game last week. And of course, he's fresh on Virginia's minds, having scored 4 goals and 2 assists in last year's game. But today it's been Aiden O'Neal with 5 goals and an assist that's done the damage in 9 shots. Here's Hackett. Eventually to Sunderland. In close. Nice shot that time from Brendan Millen on the near side. Gets a big answer for Virginia and makes it 15-11 in Richmond's favor.
I think Richmond just sloughed off a little bit too far from their men. Gave them a little bit too much space there.
And Connor
Colsey does
Kelly,
a nice job of finding the.
This could be a big answer here if the Who's can get it. Sunderland backs out.
And this is where the last few years, the shot clock, the introduction of the shot clock in the college game, Virginia can feel as if they don't have to rush right now. They've got enough time. They've got enough time to climb back into this.
And the speedy Hackett racing up that side. Now a spin move, an open shot, and another score from McCabe Millen.
And that's a real shot right there.
His 8th of the season, his 3rd today. And now we're down to 15-12. Spider leads down to 3. And still 9:18 left in the game. Count your chickens before they hatch, as Millen answers there. That's the freshman Hayden trying to work against Virginia's Wills Burt. Now there's the other freshman, Huber. Near side to Ricciardi. To Packard, who stays out. Packard driving, Packard scoring. Charlie Packard, first goal of the season. Started at midfield last week and gets a big answer here to make it 16-12. Spiders up 4. And look at Charlie Packard playing defensive midfield and putting some offense in today as well.
I was about to say that I'd like to see them leave Peakart in the game and be able to take advantage of some personnel on the field. And Danny Shimani read my mind.
We'll take a timeout with that one. We've got 7:46 left in this one, and the Spiders in this in-state rivalry up 4 here at Robins Stadium. Plays in
You can have big games. Plays in key and important games that aren't big games. Yes, you can.
That may have been one.
Yeah.
Here's O'Neal on the wing.
Big plays and big games are most often made by big-time players.
Here's O'Neal still. Out to Peakart. Shot clock at 19. Ricciardi to the far side, in close. That one came over to Sheridan off Littlejohn's. He was surrounded by defense, and the ball just ricocheted off of Littlejohn's attempt right to Sheridan, who stuffed it home.
Sometimes it's just better to be lucky than good. When you're making things happen, you tend to make those breaks for yourself.
I mean, Littlejohn was surrounded by the Virginia defense. Obviously, they're keeping.
I don't think he was open, frankly. I'm not throwing him that ball from that angle.
And Richmond caught a break when that one came free because nobody was on Sheridan at all.
Young Brendan Millen coming out of the box. He continues to make some of the plays he's made today. He's going to find himself coming out on most offensive possessions.
Connor Knight with a great stop. Band tried to go down low with that one, and Knight just makes another big play for what looks like his 13th save of the game. And now an unsettled situation at the other end, and it looks like Jack Pilling fires one home.
Virginia looking to jump into their 10-man on every opportunity. Morris out of the goal open, and Pilling takes advantage.
So Pilling, the outstanding defensive midfielder, able to come up with that tally, and that makes it 18-12, 6-goal lead, 4:12 left for the Spiders here.
Pilling, it doesn't get enough attention. Short stick defensive midfielders don't get enough attention, and Pilling's had a really big game.